Buckle your seatbelt, Dorothy.
How can you truly enjoy the meal unless you know the flavor? Welcome back, ABL fans. This is Big Earl, your trusted voice in Action Baseball League analysis, coming at you with our 19th installment of Deep Dive 25. Watch your fingers, because we're about to slice, dice, and dissect all the nuances of this great league. A salute to the sports writer at the San Diego Union Tribune for your unique blend of storytelling and statistical analysis, delivered with a clear passion for the game. Your articles provide a rich and engaging perspective on the team. Okay, ABL fanatics, let's do this. Whether it's the Western Wildcards, the Eastern Powerhouses, or the Central Workhorses, we're covering it all. See it for yourself. The San Diego Seraphs in the Western Division of the NBC, a team that's as unpredictable as a knuckleball. Led by an owner and a GM who blend experience with a bit of gamble, they're a crew that can surprise you. Their coaching staff, a mix of seasoned pros and fresh talent, brings a unique dynamic to the field. Watch out for them, folks. San Diego has a way of turning the tide when you least expect it. They're playing a strategic game that could well lead to unexpected triumphs. If you're one of those folks who can't get enough of the nitty-gritty, the ins and outs, the ups and downs of ABL baseball, then this deep dive is for you. It's like opening a box of Cracker Jacks. You never know what treasure you're gonna find. Grab your surfboard and catch a wave, because we're diving into a team as vibrant and dynamic as San Diego's sun-soaked beaches and bustling cityscape.
Question 1. How does the owner's personality and negotiation style influence the team's culture and performance?
The Tocornal effect. How San Diego Seraphs owner Danny Tocornal shapes the game and keeps us guessing. Ladies and gentlemen, gather round, because we've got a story that's as layered as a ballpark hot dog loaded with the works. Danny Tocornal, the seasoned skipper of the San Diego Seraphs, embodies a paradox as intriguing as a curveball that breaks just when you least expect it. At 72 years young and with 41 years in the game, the man's got a dual personality at the negotiation table. Think of him as both the charmer and the chess master, luring you in with a smile only to checkmate you when you let your guard down. His management credo? Lenient, generous, hands-off. It's a laissez-faire symphony that grants his GM and coaching staff the creative license of a jazz musician in a midnight lounge, yet the bar's set high, reach the playoffs or bust. And let's be clear, when Tocornal says don't suck completely and aims to pack the stands with 1.7 million souls, he ain't just whistling Dixie. His own words cut to the chase. I give my team the tools they need, but they've got to build the house. So, what's the verdict? Will Tocornal's cocktail of empowerment and expectation be the Seraphs' ticket to October baseball? Stay tuned, ABL aficionados, because in this game of inches, Danny Tocornal plays for keeps.
Question 2. What roles do the front office and coaches play in the team's success or struggles? Are they aligned with the owner's vision?
The chessboard of the San Diego Seraphs, a tale of alignment, ambition, and unproven potential. Let's break it down like a slugger sizing up a hanging curveball. The San Diego Seraphs are an ensemble cast with Danny Tocornal, the 41-year veteran, pulling the strings from the owner's box. The general manager, Matt Johnson, is cut from the same cloth, wielding 20 years of experience and a controlling negotiation style that makes him Tocornal's natural infield partner. Then there's the dugout crew. Jesse Wade, the field manager, is the epitome of conventional wisdom with a penchant for power hitting. He's backed by a pitching coach who loves ground ballers and a hitting coach who's Switzerland, neutral, baby. Toss in a greenhorn bench coach, Phil Leary, and you've got a melting pot of styles and philosophies. The kicker? They all seem to be reading from Tocornal's playbook, a symphony orchestrated in the key of control. Will this alignment be the Seraphs' golden ticket to the playoffs, or will it be a case of too many cooks spoiling the ballpark chili?
Question 3. How does the team's financial health reflect in its performance?
Moneyball or money pit? The financial quagmire of the San Diego Seraphs. Look, if baseball is a game of numbers, then the San Diego Seraphs are playing a high-stakes game of arithmetic that might have Pythagoras scratching his head. Their payroll's a smidgen under $4.4 million, a chunk of change that's well shy of their $6.6 million budget. Sounds like fiscal prudence, right? Not so fast. Here's where the stats take a nasty curve. The Seraphs' total revenue is $3,988,377, less than the payroll. It's like buying a Ferrari but not having enough for gas. With media rights padding their wallet, you'd think the gate and merchandise revenue would follow suit, but they're as flat as a knuckleball. The war chest for trades? A paltry $470,482. The GM, Matt Johnson, talks about smart investments, but the Seraphs are tightrope walking between ambition and financial gravity. Folks, in the great ledger of baseball, you wonder if they're getting any bang for their not-so-bountiful buck. Danny Tocornell's got his work cut out. This isn't just a game, it's a business puzzle.
Question 4. How has fan interest evolved over time, and what does it mean for the team's revenue and player acquisitions?
Fanfare or fan farewell? The San Diego Seraphs tug of war with public opinion and its wallet. Alright, let's talk about the heartbeat of any ball club, the fans. For the San Diego Seraphs, it's like dating someone who's just not that into you. Fan interest? A middling 58 on the scale, down from a peak of 65 in the disco era of 78. Market size? Small. Fan loyalty? Let's just say you wouldn't want to marry it. Poor. The stands? Fill to about 74.72%, which isn't empty, but it's not a sellout crowd either. Ticket prices are dirt cheap at $3.45, but the team's pulling in an average attendance of 19,204 in a stadium that can seat 25,700. This isn't just a game of balls and strikes, it's a game of dollars and cents. Lower gate revenue means less money for big-name signings, putting the Seraphs in a vicious cycle of mediocre performance and fan apathy. Danny Tocornell knows it, saying the fans and the team have to see value in each other. But in a game where you need to spend money to make money, the Seraphs are caught in a pickle, and it's not the kind you can easily tag out of.
Question 5. What is the current mood among the fan base, and how could it impact the team in the short term?
Fickle fans and frayed nerves. The Seraphs' high-stakes game with public sentiment. Alright, if you're looking for a love story between the San Diego Seraphs and their fan base, you might as well start flipping through a tragedy. The mood? I'd call it cautiously pessimistic, like watching your ace pitcher work a full count with the bases loaded. Fan interest is sitting at a tepid 58, and loyalty is as poor as a rookie's batting average in his first April. But don't mistake that for a ghost town. The stadium's about 74.72% full, so some diehards are still holding the fort. Here's where it gets prickly. That lukewarm affection from the stands can hit the team where it hurts: the wallet, the morale, and the front office's decision-making. A few losses and those cautiously pessimistic fans could turn into no-shows, punching a hole in the gate revenue and cranking up the heat on an already worried Danny Tocornell. As one fan put it, we need to see some W's on the board, or else what's the point? Trust me, in this game of inches, the Seraphs are walking a tightrope, and it's a long way down.
Question 6. How is the team faring in the league standings, and what factors are contributing to their performance?
Down but not out. The San Diego Seraphs battle against the standings and themselves. Listen up, ABL fanatics, because the San Diego Seraphs are in a hole, and it ain't just a divot from a cleek. A record of 6-13? That's not just a slow start, that's hitting the snooze button on the season. They're trailing by 6 games in their division with a winning percentage that's a hair over 300. Might as well call it a losing percentage. They've scored 74 runs but have let in a whopping 104. Do the math, that's a run differential of -30, a number that screams defensive woes. And let's not kid ourselves, a strength of schedule at 0.532 means they've faced some tough competitors, but hey, this is the big leagues. Nobody said it was going to be easy. Their recent form? A lackluster 3-7 in the last 10 games. GM Matt Johnson's got it right, it's early, but it's not that early. If the Seraphs don't start patching these leaks, they're going to sink, and they're going to sink fast.
Question 7. What are the team's odds of making the playoffs on a divisional and conference level?
On the brink, the San Diego Seraphs playoff odds paint a grim picture. Look, if you're pinning your hopes on the San Diego Seraphs making the playoffs, you'd better start praying for a baseball miracle. The numbers are as cold as a closer stare: a 6-13 record, an average projected win-loss tally of 72.9 and 89.1, and playoff odds that could make a gambler wince. How slim are they? Try a 1% chance of taking the division and a measly 2.2% for making the playoffs at all. These aren't just long odds, they're like hitting a grand slam off a knuckleballer in a snowstorm. Fans are clinging to hope like it's a foul ball in the stands, but the reality is as stark as an umpire's call: you're out. Unless the Seraphs start turning water into wine, or at least base hits into runs, they're more likely to be watching the playoffs from home than participating.
Question 8. How do base runs and ELO ratings paint a picture of the team's true strengths and weaknesses?
The numbers game, base runs, and ELO ratings expose the Seraphs' reality. Alright, put on your thinking caps because we're diving into the nerd numbers, base runs, and ELO ratings, and they're laying bare the San Diego Seraphs like an open book. First off, base runs, 74 real runs scored versus an expected 73, and 104 runs allowed against an expected 100. Folks, that's not a statistical hiccup, that's a team performing exactly as they're supposed to, which, let's be honest, isn't great. They're neck deep in a -30 run differential, 3 runs shy of the -27 they were expected to have. As for the ELO ratings, the Seraphs are on the slide, kicked off 1981 with a 1,487.4, now wallowing at 1,463.6. Whether you look at it from a 30-day or 7-day lens, the story remains the same: they're sinking. One fan put it plainly: we need a shakeup. And he's right. The stats are more than numbers, they're the heartbeat of this team. And right now, that heartbeat is weak.
Question 9. What does the team's war indicate about its most valuable players?
The war front, searching for heroes in a team of mortals. Listen, I've been around the game long enough to know that war doesn't just measure players, it measures a team's soul. And right now, the San Diego Seraphs' soul is hurting. Their total war of 0.78 isn't just a number, it's an SOS signal begging for some stars to step up. The batter war? A paltry 0.72, which in layman's terms means the lineup isn't exactly instilling fear into opposing pitchers. But the real kicker here is the pitcher war of 0.07. My friends, that's not just a red flag, that's a 5-alarm fire screaming that the mound has become a liability. When you look at their wins minus WAR, which sits at 5.21, it's clear as day, the Seraphs are performing exactly as their lack of high-impact players would suggest. In the words of a seasoned scout, the Seraphs need to find their MVPs, and fast. And he couldn't be more right, the war is on, and the Seraphs are losing.
Question 10. How have injuries impacted the team's performance and depth?
The injury illusion, a healthy roster with unhealthy results. The age-old excuse of injuries derailing a season, well, the San Diego Seraphs can't play that card, folks. With just a single player on the DL totaling 21 days and a mere $8,500 tied up in the medical room, the Seraphs are about as healthy as you can get in this gauntlet of a season. But don't be fooled, this isn't a silver lining, it's an indictment. This is not a team hampered by the injury bug, it's a squad failing to capitalize on its good fortune. Depth is hardly being tested, and the only thing thinner than their injury report is the list of excuses for their subpar play. In the words of their field manager, we've got to perform with the guys we have. So, here's the cold, hard truth. The Seraphs have been spared by the baseball gods in the health department, yet they're squandering it. It's not the medical team they need to worry about, it's the team on the field.
Question 11. What do the team's batting statistics reveal about its offensive capabilities?
The Seraphs' offensive dilemma: all spark, no fire. Hold on to your caps, ABL fans, because the Seraphs' bats are like a rock band without a lead guitarist. Lots of rhythm, but no real riffs to get the crowd going. They've scored 74 runs with a batting average of .256, which says they're not completely lost at the plate. But let's be honest, it's not turning any heads. The real story? Their lack of power, underscored by a measly 7 home runs and a slugging percentage that wouldn't even make a little leaguer blush, .347. They've got a strikeout rate of 19.4% and a walk rate of 8.02%, so they're seeing the ball, but they're not seeing it over the fence. Their on-base percentage sits at .334, but what's the point of getting on base if you can't bring him home? As Aaron Bankston, their hitting coach, said, we need to find that spark, that game changer. The Seraphs need more than just a spark, they need a full-blown blaze to ignite their offense. Otherwise, they're just another band playing background music in a league looking for headliners.
Question 12. How does the pitching staff stack up against divisional and conference competition?
Alarm bells on the mound. Seraphs pitching in crisis. Listen up, ABL aficionados. If you're looking for a masterclass in pitching, you won't find it with the San Diego Seraphs. With an ERA clocking in at a nightmarish 5.66 and a FIP not far behind at 5.14, this staff is more like a gas can than a fire extinguisher. Don't even get me started on the control issues. A walk rate of 9.97%? That's not just opening the door for the opposition, it's rolling out the red carpet. And strikeouts? A measly 70. It's like they're serving meatballs at a vegan convention. When you've allowed 17 home runs, you're not just giving up runs, you're gift wrapping them. As pitching coach Rafael Alcantara aptly put it, we're getting punished, and that needs to change. No sugarcoating here, folks. The Seraphs' pitching is a disaster waiting to happen, and if they don't sort it out pronto, they can kiss any playoff dreams goodbye.
Question 13. Are the team's fielding statistics a strength or a weakness?
Field of inconsistencies. Seraphs' glove work leaves much to be desired. Alright, folks, if you're a Seraphs fan hoping your team's leatherwork is a saving grace, you're in for some disappointment. Let's talk total zone rating, a stat that's just as negative as the team's playoff hopes, sitting at -1.2. The infield is like a patchwork quilt. You've got some solid work at first and shortstop, but then there's that abyss at second base. Turn your eyes to the outfield, and it's not exactly a highlight reel. Negative zone ratings in left and center? That's more holes in the defense than in a block of Swiss cheese. But hey, let's give credit where it's due. The catcher seems to have a cannon for an arm, nabbing base stealers at a 40% clip. As manager Jesse Wade candidly put it, we've got some holes we need to plug. No kidding, Skipper. The Seraphs' defense is more of a liability than an asset, and unless they patch up those gaps, they'll be chasing more than just fly balls. They'll be chasing the season goodbye.
Question 14. What do base running stats say about the team's tactical approach?
Stuck in the mud. Seraphs base running a lesson in futility. Ladies and gentlemen, if you're looking for speed, agility, and cunning on the base paths, you might want to avert your eyes from the San Diego Seraphs. Sure, they've got 7 stolen bases, but let's not overlook those 5 caught stealing. With a stolen base percentage of 58.3%, it's like watching a gambler at a roulette table who doesn't know when to cash out. And don't get me started on that weighted stolen bases metric, a whopping -0.08. That's right, folks, they're basically running in place. Yet, they managed to get on base. 126 singles and 59 walks can't be all bad, can it? But here's the kicker, they're not converting those opportunities into runs or even advancing positions. As their third base coach put it, they're trying to find that balance between aggression and smarts. Well, coach, the clock's ticking, and right now, your base running game is more of a stumble than a sprint.
Question 15. Who are the standout performers in batting, and what do their stats reveal?
The Fab Four, Seraphs' offensive catalysts shine amid mediocrity. Alright, folks, let's talk some real talk. The San Diego Seraphs lineup isn't a complete wasteland. Oh no, there are some glimmers of hope, like a desert oasis in a parched landscape. Take Artur Volin, the catcher who's not just catching pitches but also catching everyone's attention with an OPS of 784 and a walk rate that makes even the most seasoned pitchers sweat. Then there's Leonardo Gonzalez in right field, a guy who's not too shabby with an OPS of 783 and a WAR that screams, "I'm valuable, look at me." Dante Ramos at first base is a hit machine with a .310 average but could use a lesson or two in patience at the plate. And don't overlook Victor Ruiz, the second baseman with a penchant for strikeouts but enough pop to make you forgive him, sometimes. As one of their hitting coaches said, these guys are the engine of our offense. And let me tell you, that engine needs some high-octane fuel around it, or it's going to sputter out before the finish line.
Question 16. Who are the key figures in the pitching staff, and how do they influence games?
The Seraphs' mound of mediocrity, no aces up their sleeves. Folks, the Seraphs' pitching staff is like a rickety roller coaster. You get on hoping for thrills, but just end up with a headache. Robbie Kendall tops the list as the best of the lackluster lot, but let's face it, his ERA may be decent, but advanced metrics like FIP and XFIP say he's been playing with fire. Arthur Rizzo? Guy's got an arm but also a penchant for allowing too many long balls, as evidenced by his unsightly ERA and FIP. And let's not even talk about Jose Segura, who's currently serving up batting practice with an ERA north of 6 and a WAR that's deep in the negatives. As pitching coach Alcantara lamented, we've got some arms that can do the job, but we're not executing consistently. Well, again, no kidding. If the Seraphs plan to contend, they'll need to find an ace, or at least someone who can pretend to be one for a night.
Question 17. Who excels in base running and fielding, and how do they impact the game's outcome?
The unsung heroes, Seraphs standouts in base running and fielding. The quiet game changers of the Seraphs. Brandon Barkley is swiping bases like a cat burglar in the night, boasting 5 stolen bases and an 83.3% success rate that keeps opposing pitchers sweating on the mound. On the fielding front, Eduardo Cordoba is the Seraphs' human vacuum cleaner at shortstop, with a stellar zone rating of 1.260 and 0 errors. Yeah, you heard me, 0. Masakuni Shiratori holds down the hot corner like a veteran, while Artur Volin shows he's not just a one-trick pony, excelling behind the plate with a commendable zone rating. As manager Wade rightly said, these are the guys setting the standard. Indeed, they are. These are the players who might not always make the headlines, but sure as heck should be making the highlight reels. They're the unsung heroes, the difference makers, the guys who can turn a game on its head with a slide into second or a diving catch.
Question 18. What does the team's age demographic reveal about its experience and future potential?
Age and Sage. A look at the Seraphs' age demographics. In the Seraphs organization, age isn't just a number, it's a tale of two cities. On one hand, you've got a major league squad seasoned like a well-marbled steak, especially those arms on the mound, averaging nearly 30 years old. Experience? Sure. But let's not ignore the ticking clock. On the flip side, the AAA roster is almost a mirror image in age, serving as a ready reserve for the big league team, though it's a bit long in the tooth for a so-called future lineup. But the AA and single A squads, that's where the Seraphs are hiding their fountain of youth. These youngsters, especially those batters in single A averaging a green 21.51 years, are the promise of a bright tomorrow. As GM Matt Johnson aptly said, they've got a blend of experience and youth, like a well-mixed cocktail that's both strong and refreshing. So, here's the question, are we looking at a team on the brink of a championship run? Or a rebuild? Only time will tell, but for now, they've got options. And in baseball, that's as good as gold.
Question 19. Who has had the best batting and pitching games, and what do these performances signify for the team?
Diamonds in the rough, Seraphs' game-changing performances. Let's toast to the April 7th massacre against Detroit, a date which will live in Seraphs' lore. Masakuni Shiratori and Victor Ruiz went supernova, combining for 7 hits and 5 RBIs, turning the diamond into their personal playground. But let's not forget Robbie Kendall on the same glorious day, hurling a complete game with only 2 runs allowed, as if he was painting a masterpiece one brushstroke at a time. And then there's Jose Segura and Kenny Murdoch, who each delivered their own spellbinding performances on the mound. Segura was almost untouchable despite the loss, and Murdoch struck out 6 Minnesotans like he was swatting flies. Folks, these aren't just standout games, these are statements. Statements that say, hey, we've got the raw material to be something special. These are the kinds of performances that can turn the tide of a season, that can lift a team from the mire of mediocrity to the pinnacle of greatness. So mark these names and dates, because they might just be the prologue to a storybook season for the Seraphs.
Question 20. What does your gut tell you about this team in the 1981 championship season and the Grand Tournament of Champions?
Seraphs' 1981 season, a high-wire act without a safety net. Listen up, ABL fanatics. My gut's been around the diamond more times than a veteran base coach, and it's sending me some pretty clear signals about the 1981 San Diego Seraphs. Picture them as a tightrope walker, poised but wobbly, somewhere between falling flat and soaring high. During the championship season, expect them to hover like a seagull over a shrimp boat, right around that 500 mark. They've got a few ringmasters like Artur Volin and Robbie Kendall, but lack the circus elephants to really trample the competition. Could they make a late-season charge? Sure, but don't bet your mortgage on it. Now, should they finagle their way into the Grand Tournament of Champions, they'll be like a street magician at a Vegas show, charming but outclassed. They might pull a rabbit out of a hat, win a game or two, but don't expect a grand finale with fireworks. So, grab your peanuts and Cracker Jack, because the 1981 season for the Seraphs will be a spectacle, just not necessarily the kind that ends in a standing ovation.
Question 21. What is the team's history in the Grand Tournament of Champions?
A tale of two Firebirds, the Seraphs' G2C legacy. Hold on to your caps, ABL aficionados. The San Diego Seraphs' history in the Grand Tournament of Champions is a bit like a Hollywood script that got left on the cutting room floor, full of drama but missing that blockbuster ending. Twice they've stepped onto the grand stage, and twice they've been sent home packing by the Phoenix Firebirds. First in 74, a nail-biter that could have been a coin flip, and then again in 78, a drubbing that had them looking like extras rather than leading men. So, they've got a past, but it's woven with threads of almost and not quite. They're the underdogs with a chip on their shoulder, the guys who've been to the party but never got to dance with the belle of the ball. For the Seraphs, the G2C is both a reminder of what could have been and a burning motivation for what might yet be. So, stay tuned, because in baseball, like in showbiz, there's always a chance for a sequel.
Question 22. What is the team's history in previous seasons?
The roller coaster saga of the San Diego Seraphs. Folks, strap in for a ride through the peaks and valleys of the San Diego Seraphs ABL history, a tale as inconsistent as a knuckleball in the wind. This team has seen it all: dismal beginnings in 72 and 73, breakthrough playoff appearances in 74 and 78, and then faceplants that would even make a gymnast wince, like in 79. Their winning percentages have been all over the map, swinging like a pendulum from glory to gloom. Their balance sheet has had more ups and downs than a rookie pitcher's ERA. But let's not forget the fans. Those diehards will pack the house when there's a whiff of success, as seen in those attendance spikes. As for the here and now, the 1981 season is off to a shaky start. So, are the Seraphs poised for another climb up the roller coaster, or are we staring down another plunge? History warns us to buckle up. It could be a bumpy ride.
Question 23. What's your take on last season?
The 1980 Seraphs, a season to forget, but a lesson to remember. The 1980 season for the San Diego Seraphs, a year that could make a grown fan cry into their ballpark nachos. Listen, with a win-loss record of 73 and 89, they were basically the baseball equivalent of a sinking ship. No treasure, just wreckage. Pitching? Respectable with a 3.69 ERA, but when that's your highlight reel, you know you're scraping the barrel. The bats were as cold as a December night in the Midwest, boasting a team average of just .238. Fan attendance? A modest 1.3 million, clearly showing even die-hard fans have their limits. And let's talk money, barely in the black with a measly $169,039 cushion. The 1980 season for the Seraphs was a cautionary tale written in box scores and balance sheets, a harsh lesson they'd be wise not to forget as they stepped into the 1981 season.
Question 24. How does what happened in the 1980 season reflect on the 1981 early campaign?
The 1981 Seraphs, deja vu or a chance for redemption? 1981, the year the San Diego Seraphs find themselves at a crossroads. Is it a new beginning or just a painful rerun of the 1980 fiasco? Let's not mince words. The early signs are as gloomy as a rainout in April. A 6-13 record? That's not just a stumble out of the gate, that's tripping over your own shoelaces. The pitching staff, once the team's spine, has crumbled into a 5.66 ERA, looking more like leftovers from last season's disaster. The bats? They've warmed up to a .256 average, but let's not throw a parade yet. Fans are still showing up, but with attendance at 115,224 so far, you've got to wonder how long that loyalty will last. And sure, the bank account shows over $2.6 million, but will they be buyers or sellers if this slide continues? Listen, folks, the Seraphs have to snap out of this 1980 hangover fast, or 1981 is going to be another year scribbled in the margins of ABL history.
Question 25. What is your take on the current roster?
The 1981 San Diego Seraphs, a patchwork quilt with some holes. Listen, folks, this 1981 San Diego Seraphs roster is like a vintage car with a fresh coat of paint. Looks good from a distance, but up close, you see the rust. On the mound, you've got Jose Segura and Robbie Kendall gasping for air with early fatigue and ERAs that would make a mathematician weep. The bullpen? Let's just say Jerry Wilson and Victor Hernandez are doing their best impressions of a gas can, while Alex Martinez is the lone fire extinguisher. Behind the plate, Artur Volin is the rock, hitting over 300 and locking down the fort. In the infield, Dante Ramos and Victor Ruiz are swinging decent lumber, but Eduardo Cordoba is colder than a December night in Minneapolis. Outfield? Well, Brandon Barkley's got legs, but Leonardo Gonzalez's injury is the dark cloud looming over this team. Lineups? Lacking depth and too dependent on a few key players. And let's not forget the injuries. Gonzalez and Yuan Zhang could have us humming the injury blues all season long. The Seraphs are a mixed bag, my friends, a team teetering on the edge, just like they did in 1980. Can they patch the holes and steer the ship right? The clock is ticking. There you have it, your up-close and personal deep dive into the San Diego Seraphs. We've dissected their strengths, weaknesses, and everything in between. We've peeked into the owner's suite, dug into the dugout, and even scoped out the fans in the bleachers. And let me tell you, what a ride it's been. Like a well-pitched game, we've covered all the bases. But remember, baseball is a game of unpredictability. Just when you think you've got it figured out, it throws you a curveball. The San Diego Seraphs, a team that's been tiptoeing through the regular season like a cautious dancer. But when it comes to the Grand Tournament of Champions, they've often stumbled before the final act. Will this be the year they finally hit their stride and take the spotlight, or will they remain an ensemble cast, never quite ready for the starring role in the ABL's grand drama? The Seraphs' tale is far from over, and the next chapter promises to be a page-turner. Big Earl here, folks. Keep your eyes peeled for future reports as we navigate through the twists and turns of another gripping ABL season. So, whether you're a fan of the Seraphs or just love the game, the best is yet to come. Until next time, this is the game. See it for yourself.
Unfortunately, no one can be told what the Matrix is. You have to see it for yourself.
See it for yourself.
How would you know the difference between the dream world and the real world? You take the red pill, you stay in Wonderland, and I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes.